Darth Vader appearances. Darth Vader/Anakin Skywalker appears in 7 of the live-action Star Wars films, in the animated series The Clone Wars, including the film, Rebels, Forces of Destiny, and in the Legends micro-series Clone Wars. He also has a main and recurring role in games, comics, books and the non-canon Star Wars Legends material. Feature films. Original trilogy. Darth Vader first appears in Star Wars, later retitled as A New Hope, as a ruthless villain serving the Galactic Empire. He is tasked, along with Imperial Governor Grand Moff Tarkin, with recovering the secret technical plans for the Death Star, which were stolen by the Rebel Alliance. Vader captures and tortures Princess Leia Organa, who has hidden the plans inside the droid R2-D2 and sent it to find Vader's former Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi on the planet Tatooine. During Leia's rescue, Vader kills Obi-Wan in a lightsaber duel. Having placed a tracking device aboard the Millennium Falcon, Vader is able to track down the Rebels' base on the planet Yavin 4. During the Rebels' attack on the Death Star, Vader and his TIE fighter attempts to shoot down Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter, but Han Solo intervenes and sends Vader's ship spiraling off course, allowing Luke to destroy the Death Star. In The Empire Strikes Back, Vader becomes obsessed with finding Luke and leads the Imperial attack on the Rebel base on Hoth, but the Rebels escape. While conversing with Emperor Palpatine via hologram, Vader convinces him that Luke would be valuable to the Empire if he could be turned to the dark side of the Force. Vader hires a group of bounty hunters to follow Luke's friends, and negotiates with Bespin Administrator Lando Calrissian to set a trap for them so that Luke will follow them. After Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO arrive, Vader tortures Han, freezes him in carbonite and gives him to the bounty hunter Boba Fett. When Luke arrives, Vader overpowers him in a lightsaber duel, severing his hand. Vader tells Luke that he is his father, and tries to persuade him to join forces and help him overthrow the Emperor. Horrified and incredulous, Luke escapes through an airshaft. Vader telepathically tells Luke that it is his destiny to join him. In Return of the Jedi, Vader and the Emperor are supervising the second Death Star's construction. Unknown to Vader, the Emperor intends to replace him with Luke as his apprentice. Thinking that there is still good in his father, Luke surrenders to Vader and unsuccessfully tries to convince him to turn from the dark side. Vader takes Luke to the Death Star to meet the Emperor. While there, Palpatine tempts Luke to give in to his anger, which leads to Vader dueling with Luke once again. Realizing that Leia is Luke's twin sister, Vader threatens to turn her to the dark side if Luke will not submit. Furious, Luke overpowers Vader and severs his father's robotic hand. The Emperor entreats Luke to kill Vader and take his place. Luke refuses, however, and the Emperor tortures him with Force lightning. Unwilling to let his son die, Vader throws the Emperor down a reactor chute to his death, but Vader is mortally electrocuted in the process. At his last request, Luke removes the redeemed Anakin's mask. As he dies peacefully in Luke's arms, Vader tells him that there was still good in him after all. Luke escapes the Death Star with his father's body, and cremates it in a pyre. Anakin's spirit reunites with those of Obi-Wan and Yoda to watch over Luke and his friends as the rebels celebrate the Death Star's destruction and the fall of the Empire. Prequel trilogy. Anakin first appears in the prequel trilogy in Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which takes place 32 years before the original Star Wars, as a 9-year-old slave living on the planet Tatooine with his mother Shmi. Anakin was conceived without a father and he can foresee the future. Also a gifted pilot and mechanic, Anakin has built his own protocol droid, C-3PO. Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn meets Anakin after making an emergency landing on Tatooine. Qui-Gon senses Anakin's strong connection to the Force and becomes convinced that the boy is the chosen one of Jedi prophecy who will bring balance to the Force. After winning his freedom in a pod race, Anakin leaves for Coruscant to be trained as a Jedi, but is forced to leave Shmi behind. During the journey, Anakin forms a bond with Padme Amidala, the young queen of Naboo. Qui-Gon asks the Jedi Council for permission to train Anakin, but they sense fear in the boy and refuse. Eventually, Anakin helps thwart the Trade Federation's invasion of Naboo by destroying their command ship. After Qui-Gon is killed in a lightsaber duel with Sith Lord Darth Maul, Obi-Wan promises to train Anakin, with the Council's reluctant approval. Palpatine, newly elected as the Galactic Republic's Chancellor, later befriends Anakin and tells him that he will watch the boy's career with great interest. Anakin is Obi-Wan's Padawan apprentice in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which takes place 10 years after The Phantom Menace. Having rescued Padme, who is now a senator, from an assassination attempt, Anakin travels with her to Naboo, where they fall in love. Sensing that Shmi is in pain, Anakin travels to Tatooine to rescue her. While there, Anakin learns she was kidnapped by the hostile Tusken Raiders, native to Tatooine. Anakin locates Shmi at the Tusken campsite, where she dies in his arms. Anakin, enraged, massacres the Tuskens and returns to the Lars homestead to bury Shmi. Anakin travels with Padme to Geonosis to rescue Obi-Wan from Sith Lord Count Dooku, Qui-Gon's old master and leader of the Separatists, a conspiracy of star systems bent on seceding from the Galactic Republic. Dooku captures them, however, and sentences them to death. However, a cadre of Jedi arrives with the Kaminoan clone army to halt their executions. Obi-Wan and Anakin confront Dooku during the ensuing battle, but the Sith Lord beats them both in a lightsaber duel and severs Anakin's arm. Master Yoda intervenes and rescues the Jedi. By the end of the film, Anakin is fitted with a robotic arm and marries Padme secretly. In Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, set 3 years after Attack of the Clones, Anakin is now a Jedi Knight and a hero of the Clone Wars. He and Obi-Wan lead a mission to rescue Palpatine from Separatist Commander General Grievous on board his starship. The two Jedi battle Count Dooku, whom Anakin eventually executes on Palpatine's command. They rescue Palpatine and return to Coruscant. Anakin reunites with Padme, who tells him she is pregnant. Although initially excited, Anakin has prophetic visions of Padme dying in childbirth and his worry steadily grows, as they are similar to the visions he had of his mother before she died. Later, Palpatine reveals to Anakin that he is the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, saying that only he has the knowledge to save Padme from dying. Anakin reports Palpatine's treachery to Jedi Master Mace Windu, who subdues him. Desperate to save Padme, Anakin intervenes on the Palpatine's behalf, allowing him to kill Windu. Anakin pledges himself to the dark side and becomes Palpatine's new Sith apprentice, Darth Vader. Vader leads a band of clones to murder everyone at the Jedi Temple before he kills the remaining Separatist leaders hiding on the volcanic planet Mustafar. Padme travels to Mustafar and implores Vader to abandon the dark side, but he refuses and asks her to help overthrow Palpatine so they can rule the galaxy together. Upon witnessing Obi-Wan present, Vader furiously chokes Padme into unconsciousness, thinking that she brought Obi-Wan to kill him. Obi-Wan duels and defeats Vader, severing his arm and both of his legs, and leaves him at the bank of a lava river, where he is horribly burned. Palpatine finds Vader still alive and brings him to Coruscant, where his apprentice's mutilated body is treated and covered in the black armored suit first depicted in the original trilogy. Palpatine explains to Vader that he himself killed Padme in his rage, devastating him and leaving him in pain. At the end of the film, Vader supervises the construction of the first Death Star alongside Palpatine and Grand Moff Wilhuff Tarkin. The Clone Wars film. In the 2008 3D animated film The Clone Wars, Yoda assigns Ahsoka Tano as Anakin's Padawan apprentice to teach him a greater sense of responsibility, and Anakin is initially frustrated by this decision. Their early interactions are playfully contentious, with Anakin calling her Snips for her snippy attitude and Ahsoka calling him Sky Guy as a pun on his surname. After earning Anakin's respect during a dangerous mission, Ahsoka joins him on a quest to rescue Jabba the Hutt's infant son, Rada. Her impetuousness both annoys and endears her to her master, and, by the end of the film, Anakin reveals a newfound affection for his apprentice. Anthology films. Vader appears in the first anthology film Rogue One, played by Spencer Wilding and Daniel Napris, with James Earl Jones once again voicing the character. In this film, Vader meets with Imperial weapons engineer Orson Krennic, who asks him for an audience with the Emperor regarding the Death Star which Krennic lost command of to Tarkin. Vader refuses, however, and uses the Force to choke him as a way of putting him in his place and orders him to ensure the Death Star project has not been compromised. At the end of the film, Vader boards the disabled Rebel flagship Profundity with a cadre of Imperial stormtroopers and kills several Rebel soldiers as he attempts to recover the plans. However, the Alderaanian blockade runner Tantive 4, which was docked with the Profundity, escapes with the plans, setting the stage for the events of A New Hope. Prior to the hallway scene being filmed, during the finale for Rogue One, it was planned that Orson Krennic would survive the Death Star's assault on Scarif and Vader would then murder him for failing to stop the theft of the Death Star plans. However, this scene was cut from Rogue One due to the difficulty of explaining how Krennic survived the explosion the Death Star caused. Television series: The Clone Wars, 2008-2014. Anakin is a lead character in all seasons of The Clone Wars. As a Jedi Knight, he goes on several missions with both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka throughout the war. While continuing to teach Ahsoka the ways of the Jedi, Anakin has developed a close bond with her and they take risks to protect or save one another. Some of Anakin's actions taken out of concern for Ahsoka violate the Jedi Code, such as torturing prisoners who may know her location when she goes missing. During the third season, Anakin experiences a vision of his future as Darth Vader. Rebels, 2014-2018. Darth Vader is a recurring character in the first season of Star Wars Rebels, which takes place 14 years after the Clone Wars concludes. Vader leads a squadron of Force-sensitive Imperial Inquisitors who are actively searching for and killing any remaining Jedi and Force-sensitive children. In the second season premiere, Vader discovers that Ahsoka has joined the Rebel Alliance, and the Emperor orders him to hunt her down. During their first confrontation, in which Vader wipes out most of Phoenix Squadron's troops, Ahsoka is overwhelmed when she recognizes Anakin under a layer of hate in Darth Vader. Later in the season, Ahsoka has a vision in which Anakin blames her for allowing him to fall to the dark side. Vader makes a brief cameo at the end of Shroud of Darkness in which he is brought to the Jedi Temple on Lothal. In the season finale, Ahsoka duels with her former master inside a Sith temple, allowing her friends to escape Vader and the temple's destruction. As the episode concludes, Vader escapes from the temple's ruins. Filoni said that it was an elected decision not to feature Vader for the third season. Vader makes a final voiceless cameo in the late fourth season episode A World Between Worlds, as Ezra looks back in time to see the conclusion of his duel with Ahsoka before rescuing her from him. Shortly afterward, quotes from Vader are heard echoing in the void after Ezra says his name. Forces of Destiny, 2017-2018. Anakin Skywalker is a recurring character in the 2D animated web series Star Wars Forces of Destiny. He appears in the episodes The Padawan Path, Teach You, I Will and Unexpected Company, voiced again by Matt Lanter. Comics. In 2015, Marvel released a 25-issue series called Darth Vader, 2015, which focused on the title character in the aftermath of the destruction of the Death Star, as well as his life after learning about the existence of his son. The series happens parallel to the comic book series Star Wars, 2015, and has a crossover titled Vader Down. The 5-issue miniseries Obi-Wan and Anakin, written by Charles Soule, depicts the lives of both Jedi between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. At New York Comic Con 2015, Dan Brooks of Star Wars.com held an interview with Soule, who described the story as pretty unexplored territory. A second series, Darth Vader, 2017, is also written by Charles Soule. It begins moments after Vader wakes up for the first time in his black suit at the end of the film Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The series will focus on exploring the title character's emotional transformation upon learning of Padmé's death, his adjustment to his mechanical suit, how he creates his red lightsaber, and how he hunts Jedi in the Inquisitor program shown in the animated series Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars canon literature. Star Wars, Lords of the Sith was one of the first 4 canon novels to be released in 2014 and 2015. In Lords of the Sith, Vader and Palpatine find themselves hunted by revolutionaries on the Twi'lek planet Ryloth. Virtual reality game. In the 2015 Star Wars Celebration, it was announced David S. Goyer is helping to develop a virtual reality game based on Darth Vader. It is said that the audience as visitor will be able to walk, pick up, push and open things, and might even have some effect in the story. Legends. In April 2014, Most of the licensed Star Wars novels and comics produced since the originating 1977 film Star Wars were rebranded by Lucasfilm as Legends and declared non-canon to the franchise. Clone Wars, 2003 to 2005. Anakin is a lead character in all 3 seasons of the Clone Wars microseries, which takes place 4 months after the conclusion of Attack of the Clones. Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight and is quickly promoted to a general of the Republic's clone army, due in part to Palpatine's influence. Among other missions, he fights a duel with Dark Jedi Asajj Ventress, helps Obi-Wan capture a Separatist-controlled fortress and rescues Jedi Master Saesee Tiin during a space battle. During the 3rd season, Anakin frees the planet Nelvon from Separatist control and sees a cryptic vision of his future as Darth Vader. In the season finale, Anakin and Obi-Wan go on a mission to rescue Palpatine from General Grievous, leading to the opening of Revenge of the Sith. Series creator and director Genndy Tartakovsky admitted that he was bothered that Lucasfilm declared Clone Wars non-canon, but said that he was proud of what he did and how much the microseries and the characters influenced later works. Literature. Vader is featured prominently in novels set in the Star Wars universe. In the 1978 novel Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster, Vader meets Luke Skywalker for the first time and engages him in a lightsaber duel that ends with Luke cutting off Vader's arm and Vader falling into a deep pit. In 1999's Vader's Quest, however, Vader encounters Luke for the first time after hiring a bounty hunter to find the pilot who destroyed the Death Star. Shadows of the Empire, 1996, reveals that Vader is conflicted about trying to turn his son to the dark side of the Force, and knows deep down that there is still some good in him. Anakin Skywalker's redeemed spirit appears in The Truce at Baccarat, 1993, set a few days after the end of Return of the Jedi. He appears to Leia, imploring her forgiveness. Leia condemns him for his crimes and exiles him from her life. He promises that he will be there for her when she needs him, and disappears. In Tatooine Ghost, 2003, Leia learns to forgive her father after learning about his childhood as a slave and his mother's traumatic death. In The Unifying Force, 2003, Anakin tells his grandson Jacen Solo to stand firm in his battle with the Supreme Overlord of the Yuuzhan Vong. Upon the release of the prequel films, the expanded universe grew to include novels about Vader's former life as Anakin Skywalker. Greg Bear's 2000 novel Rogue Planet and Jude Watson's Jedi Apprentice and Jedi Quest series chronicle Anakin's early missions with Obi-Wan, while James Luceno's 2005 novel Labyrinth of Evil, set during the Clone Wars, depicts Anakin battling Separatist Commander General Grievous. In Luceno's Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, 2005, set a few months after the events of Revenge of the Sith, Vader disavows his identity as Anakin Skywalker as he systematically pursues and kills the surviving Jedi and cements his position in the Empire. The novel reveals that Vader plans to eventually overthrow Palpatine and that he betrayed the Jedi because he resented their supposed failure to recognize his power. In the Darkness trilogy, 2005, Luke and Leia uncover old recordings of their parents in R2-D2's memory drive. For the first time, they see their own birth and their mother's death, as well as their father's corruption to the dark side. In Bloodlines, 2006, Han and Leia's son Jacen, who has himself turned to the dark side, uses the Force to watch Darth Vader slaughter the children at the Jedi Temple. Vader also appears in a series of tongue-in-cheek children's books by Jeffrey Brown. In Brown's series, a hapless Vader sets out to be a father to a young Luke and Leia, with some scenes portraying light-hearted versions of their darker film counterparts. For example, one scene shows Vader, Luke and Leia at the carbonite freezing chamber on Bespin, with Vader pronouncing the freezer adequate for making ice cream. Comics. Vader appears in several comic books such as Dark Horse Comics' Star Wars Tales and Marvel Comics' Star Wars, 1977-1986, series. Anakin Skywalker is a major character in Dark Horse's Star Wars, Republic series, 1998-2006. Video games. Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker appear in a variety of video games such as the LEGO Star Wars series and the Battlefront series. Vader plays a central role in Star Wars, The Force Unleashed, 2008. He is a playable character in the first level of the game, where he and his armies invade Kashyyyk to hunt down a Jedi who had survived the Order's destruction. Vader kills the Jedi and kidnaps the man's young Force-sensitive son, whom he raises as his secret apprentice, Starkiller. Vader sends Starkiller on various missions throughout the galaxy, with an ultimate goal to assassinate Palpatine so that Vader can rule the galaxy himself. Toward the end of the game, however, it is revealed that Vader isn't planning to overthrow Palpatine at all, he is merely using his apprentice to expose the Empire's enemies. At the game's climax, the player chooses between attacking Palpatine to help his rebel friends escape the Death Star or killing Vader to become the Emperor's new apprentice. He also appears in the sequel Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2 as the final boss. He, Starkiller and Yoda serve as guest characters for Soul Calibur 4, 2008, with Vader available for the PlayStation 3 edition and downloadable content for the Xbox 360 edition. Other. In the Star Wars Holiday Special, a television special broadcast by CBS in 1978, features a brief appearance by Darth Vader, who appears on screen speaking with Imperial Officer Chief Bast in footage cut from the original 1977 film. The sequence is dubbed with new dialogue, performed by James Earl Jones. In the story, Vader colludes with Boba Fett to entrap the rebels. Darth Vader features in the 1981 radio drama adaptation of Star Wars, voiced by the actor Brock Peters. Vader makes his first appearance on the planet Ralshar, where he treats Princess Leia Organa with suspicion. In later extended scenes, he is heard interrogating and torturing Leia on board his Star Destroyer and aboard the Death Star. Vader appears in Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, where he is voiced by Jones. Vader is featured as a combatant in the popular series Death Battle, in which he is pitted against Marvel Comics villain Doctor Doom.